Oh, hi, everybody. Sorry, I'm in informal attire. I'm in Calgary right now, actually at my folks' place where I stay when I come to Calgary. They're still here. I love to visit. I'm in Calgary for some meetings, including an annual meeting of the Western Standard. As you know, the Western Standard was the name of a magazine I used to publish 2 decades ago almost, but it has been revived into a lively and important news website focusing on Western Canada. It's run by our friend Derek Fildebrandt. I was delighted to be invited to speak to their team, so that's sort of fun. I mean, technically on paper, Rebel News is competitors with Juno and Countersignal and Epoch Times and Western Standard. I suppose we are, but I actually don't feel that way. I feel like we're sort of allies. We're little Davids fighting the big Goliath together, and we have much more in common than we have that differentiates ourselves. I mean, we have different niches and focuses, of course, and I think we're all making a go of it against this big blob of regime media. Anyways, I'm really flattered to be invited to speak to them. That's why I'm in Calgary. But I've been paying close attention to Ottawa and another independent news source that I really admire. It's called Blacklocks. They had a little tidbit that I didn't see anywhere else, and it was about a parliamentary committee hearing. As you know, there's the main parliament where the MPs sit and they go there to debate and to have question period. But a lot of the work of parliament is done in committees where they call witnesses and experts and consultations. One of the things that happens at committee is cabinet ministers come to answer questions about what they're doing and how things are moving along. And yesterday, Steven Guilbeault came before the Heritage Committee. Stephen Guilbeault, you'll remember, he's the convicted criminal, of course, who was a Greenpeace criminal. He scaled the CN Tower and broke out of it, causing tens of thousands of dollars in damages. He actually went on the roof of Ralph Klein's home, Ralph Klein, the former premier of Alberta. He broke into the property, went on the roof. Ralph Klein wasn't there. Ralph Klein was at work, but Mrs. Klein was at home terrified. Imagine some thug literally climbing on your roof for a stunt. He should have been imprisoned for those things, but instead he winds up, he's just Trudeau's kind of guy. And now he's Mark Carney's kind of guy. So gross. Anyways, he was before the Heritage Committee talking about a number of things. And for about 30 seconds, he dropped a bit of news that Blacklocks picked up. They are going to revive, they're going to exhume and rebuild Justin Trudeau's censorship bill, which was called C-63, which was called the Online Harms Act. Mark Carney is bringing it back. Don't take it from me. Here's Steven Guilbeault, the convicted criminal, the Trudeau cabinet minister, who's now being reheated into a Carney cabinet minister.
We've made a commitment to combat online harms. I have myself worked on that during my first passage at Heritage between 2019 and 2021. Many of my colleagues have continued on that. We tabled a bill in last Parliament, C-63, that was aimed not specifically at online harms, but also modernizing the criminal code. So we will be introducing measures to address hate speech, terrorist content, and the harmful distribution of intimate images.
Yeah, do you get the feeling that the government cares about censorship more than just about anything else? I mean, yesterday, as you know, I spent the day in court alone fighting against the regulation of journalists through this journalism license that, again, Trudeau invented and Carney is continuing. That lawsuit, I hate to say it, we're probably going to lose. I mean, appeal courts are always long shots. I bet if we had a bevy of civil liberties groups in there, journalism groups in there intervening on our behalf, it could be different. Like, what if the Canadian Association of Journalists and Canadian Journalists for Free Expression and PEN Canada and Amnesty International, what if instead of just me being in there, and maybe the judges don't like me, maybe, oh, it's Rebel News and Ezra Levant, we don't like them. Maybe if there was all these fancy pants liberals who used to care about civil liberties, like where the heck is the Canadian Civil Liberties Association? 30 years ago, I knew their director. He loved freedom of speech, even for people he didn't like. His name was Alan Borovoy. He was a Jewish guy who talked about the importance of defending Nazis. Civil liberties organization today, they would never defend someone on the right, not even a conservative. And so they're never there in the battle. But what would happen if they had been there? I think it would made a difference, not just making legal arguments, but telegraphing to the judge that this isn't just about rinky-dink rebel news. This is a bigger thing. Alas, I was in there by myself, which was a little frustrating. And you saw that remark by Steven Guilbeault. It was only about 30 seconds. He basically said, "I'm bringing back the censorship law," and nothing. So I searched through, I skimmed the entire hearing, and maybe I missed it, but I don't think I did. I don't think a single MP bothered to press him on it. They were talking about other things. Let me give you a reminder about what this, it used to be called Bill C-63. It's the Online Harms Act. It's a censorship law. It had some atrocious things that I think startled anyone who read the bill, but again, who reads a bill? It had life in prison as a new punishment for the standalone crime of hate. Hate, of course, is a human emotion. It's absurd to regulate hate. That's like regulating love. You can't ban it any more than you can compel people to love. The liberals hate prison. The liberals let anyone out on bail. This is the only thing I've ever seen the liberals call for life in prison for the emotion of hatred. That's what they want to do. There's this crazy provision in there targeting Elon Musk. It's a 24-hour takedown provision where if anyone complains about something on social media, if the companies don't take it down within 24 hours, they face enormous fines that could reach into the billions of dollars. Of course, how does a 24-hour takedown notice work? Let's say someone writes something at 11 p.m. on Friday night, and by the time someone hears about it, it's 10 a.m. Saturday morning. So they basically have a few hours. But my point is, the companies cannot do a proper hearing, properly investigate something. They're going to, if they have to make a decision in 24 hours, and if there's billions of dollars at stake, they could censor everything. I mean, have you ever seen the government act on anything within 24 hours? The only reason you would demand a 24-hour takedown is if you want the company to do it simply out of fear and out of reflex, not actually have a hearing into whether something was truly hateful. And by the way, if something breaks a criminal law, then go arrest the guy. But don't tell social media companies that they have to be political correctness cops. As you know, the new provisions in C-63, which sound like they're going to be revived, mean you could be charged for anything you ever said on social media, even something historical. The wording in the law said if you still control a Facebook account or some old thing, and you wrote a comment literally 10 years ago, you can be prosecuted today. There's no statute of limitations like there is for, say, defamation law or most torts. This law is so un-Canadian. It breaks centuries of tradition in our law. Imagine saying you have to make a decision in 24 hours. You can be charged for anything you've ever said historically. Hate speech when you were a kid, if you were a teenager in 2006, and now you're in your 30s, you could be charged with a hate crime for what you did when you were teenagers. That is literally in the law. It criminalizes words. It gives a bounty. You get paid to make nuisance complaints against your enemies, unlimited. You can make secret complaints against people like Jordan Peterson or Ezra Levant. You can get a preemptive restraining order against someone who hasn't said anything hateful yet, but you think he will. You can get shocking restraints on him, including house arrest, giving blood and urine samples, that's in the law, seizing any lawful firearms, saying he can or can't go any places or contact anyone. That's all in this law. And of course, they have 3 new censorship agencies that will be hundreds of staff doing nothing but censoring. That's C-63. And that, in very casually, in 30 seconds, Steven Guilbeault said, Mark Carney is bringing back. Now, I think the first thing to realize is that Carney may look like a boring banker, but he is no less radical than Justin Trudeau. And why would he be? He's got the same people around him, including Steven Guilbeault, the criminal. I think it's a little different out there now because when Justin Trudeau first introduced this bill several times, actually, Joe Biden was president. But now Trump is president, and he and his vice president, J.D. Vance, say that they value freedom of speech and are actually putting that into action. The US has raised the issue of censorship in Germany, in Ireland, in the UK, in the European Union in general. And the United States has actually threatened censors around the world that if they censor American social media platforms, if they censor Americans, the US State Department might actually ban those censors from ever visiting America. Imagine if Stephen Guilbeault were to be banned from visiting the United States. He's a communist, Stephen Guilbeault. He hates capitalism, but he loves going to the United States. Everyone does. Wouldn't it be delicious if Stephen Guilbeault was banned from America like some sort of Putin oligarch because he's acting like a Trudeau or Carney oligarch? That'd be something. I think doing this while we haven't negotiated a trade deal with America is exceedingly dumb. But I've come to the conclusion that I think Mark Carney is doing so many things to irritate Trump in particular and America in general that it can't be an accident. That I think Carney wants a trade war so he can blame the coming recession on Trump. So bringing back censorship, which will get stuck in the craw of Marco Rubio and JD Vance and Trump himself, that sounds insane and it makes no sense until you come to the realization, well, that, hey, actually, maybe Carney wants to be able to blame Trump for our made in Canada recession. I think it's dumb to do. I think it's immoral to do. I think it's un-Canadian. And I think Rebel News has to fight it. I think Rebel News will want to be one of the first people targeted by it, especially now that Jordan Peterson is relocated to the United States. Seriously, tell me someone in Canada who would be hit by this law faster than Rebel News or myself or David Menzies or our team. I mean, I suppose there are others out there who are even more offensive to the Liberals than us, but I can't name them offhand. I think we might be fighting this ourselves. Will we be alone? I hope not. I was alone yesterday in court. I had no allies other than you, our lovely viewers who helped chip in to pay for our legal fees. But we have to fight it. We have to for our own existential survival. And I think for the sake of Canada's survival, too.